Pastor Paulo and Pastor Randy to share their many years of ministry experience with us. So we look forward to what they have to share. So we want to start off with questions. If you have one, raise your hand and we'll get to you.
I have a question. Oftentimes we hear that good is the enemy of great. And so what are some good things that we need to be prepared to cast aside in order to find the great things in church growth?
Olá, pessoal. Eu vou responder em português e Guilherme vai traduzir para mim.
Hi, everyone. I will answer in Portuguese and Gui will go ahead and translate into English.
Eu faço parte de uma igreja batista, bem tradicional, que durante 40 anos nunca cresceu.
I'm a pastor of a very traditional Brazilian Baptist church that for over 40 years had never seen growth.
E é impressionante a pergunta dele, porque eu acho que mais do que algo novo que eu vou introduzir para fazer minha igreja crescer, o que nós tivemos que fazer foi abandonar coisas velhas que a gente não podia mais aceitar ou conviver na igreja.
I really like his question because in order for us to see our church growth grow, we had to, along the way, cast aside, abandon many of the old things that were part of it.
E, acima de tudo, é uma mudança de mentalidade na maneira de enxergar a igreja, a maneira de enxergar o perdido e a maneira de enxergar o ministério dos irmãos dentro da igreja.
Above all is a change of mindset, a change of how you see the church, a change how you see the lost, and a change how you want to see the church moving forward.
Okay. Next question.
So, Pastor Paulo, if have a traditional church, how do you transition? What's the first thing you need to do to start a transition to focusing on community, unity, the cell type system? What's like the first step?
Sorry.
He speaks English.
But very bad, so I'm using Guilherme. Eu diria que 3 coisas acontecem para uma igreja começar a crescer. Primeiro, a gente enfrenta a decepção e o desespero ao perceber que a igreja está estagnada. Segundo, a gente busca um avivamento, o poder. E terceiro, a gente introduz as mudanças estruturais que vão fazer a igreja crescer.
Let me try to get that. There are 3 things that we follow. The first one is we have to deal with the deception and the sadness that goes with it. Qual que é a segunda? Yeah, so, for you not to grow. The second one, so first you go through deception and the cries of not seeing growth. The second one, you go after revival and you want, because that's what you want to see it. And then at the third one, you go ahead and you implement the changes that you need in order to see growth.
Eu vou compartilhar hoje à tarde a respeito deste processo de crescimento que nós adaptamos. Mas é a maneira de enxergar a igreja. A gente tem que mudar o paradigma da igreja. Eu creio que no Brasil as pessoas têm uma herança católica muito forte.
I will share with everyone this afternoon what's needed. But in Brazil, there is a heritage that comes from the Catholicism that is extremely rooted into the people.
E a ideia de que um clero profissional, de que missionários, pastores e obreiros vão liderar a igreja, isso rouba o crescimento da igreja.
And to think that the clergy, the missionaries, will be the ones that will lead the church to move forward, that you're actually taking away, you're stealing from the actual church.
E nós costumamos dizer que a igreja começa a crescer quando a gente devolve o ministério para as mãos de quem realmente deve realizar, que são os membros da igreja. Então, o segredo, sem dúvida, na igreja brasileira é o envolvimento de todos e o treinamento dos membros da igreja para serem discipuladores.
So what we say is we started seeing growth is when we give the church back to the people that, which is the workers that are actually the ones doing all the hard work. So that's how we see it within the Brazilian church. That's something that we see it that works.
Nós aprendemos com vocês, a igreja americana, a desenvolver uma rede de ministérios.
So as we give back and they start the discipleship work, we have learned with the American church to start to have ministries.
Mas depois de um tempo a gente percebeu que tocar numa banda, cuidar da recepção, cuidar das crianças, está produzindo ministério apenas interno dentro da igreja e não impacta o mundo.
So we started seeing that playing in the church band or taking care of the reception, we started seeing that was just touching the church internally. Was not impacting the outside.
Então, a maneira de nós trabalharmos com as células é porque a gente queria colocar o membro da igreja para se envolver principalmente naquilo que é a nossa grande comissão, que é fazer discípulos. E muitas vezes a pessoa trabalha no ministério e tem a desculpa. Ele diz, eu já estou fazendo algo, então eu não posso me envolver com o ministério. E isso é um engano muito grande. Então nós concentramos o ministério da igreja para ganhar almas.
So the reason we started discipling, it was to enable the people to win souls, win lives for Jesus. But then we started seeing many people would start saying that they don't have the time. So we started not allowing that to happen, because what we wanted to see is people having disciples and work with discipleship.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Steve, and I attended a school called Dallas Theological Seminary. I'm no longer a dispensationalist. I'm no longer a cessationist. The book Lighting Fires encouraged me tremendously, the 10-year wilderness experience. After Brazil in December, I shared with the elder board, I simply cannot go back to doing it the old way. Our elder board is divided. It's almost like we got two churches. Pastor Paulo, how did you press forward, though you had opposition? And Dr. Clark, when are you going to write a sequel to Lighting Fires?
Quando Deus me mostrou claramente que nós deveríamos fazer uma transição de uma igreja tradicional para uma igreja em células, eu sabia que haveria resistência, claro.
When God showed me, and I understood that I need to move from a traditional church to a church with cell groups, I knew that there would be a great amount of resistance.
Mas a minha escolha na época foi de não permitir que uma opção ministerial gerasse uma divisão na igreja. E eu fiz tudo para evitar uma divisão.
So what I chose back then was that not to allow someone to going with a different mindset to create a division within my church. And that's what I fought for.
Então a minha decisão foi fazer um processo muito leve e natural. E eu comecei abrindo a minha própria célula, o meu próprio grupo, me tornando um exemplo para toda a igreja.
So I did a very natural and light process. So what I started was I opened my very first cell group in my house and for my church.
E esse processo durou 7 anos. E só depois de 7 anos é que eu pude perceber que a igreja estava realmente fazendo um processo de transição. Muitas vezes o líder, ele descobre uma nova metodologia e ele quer impor rapidamente. Então eu recomendo um processo cuidadoso que permita que todas as pessoas vão se adaptando naturalmente.
So that process took 7 years. And within the 7 years, I saw the church moving in the way that's what I wanted to. Us as leaders, most of the times we try to implement a methodology very quickly into the people. So I say, no, you need to go with pretty much with the flow.
I don't know. I've thought about it, part 2, lighting fires, because it's been over 20 years since I wrote the book. If I do it, I need to do it within the next 5 years so I can remember what needs to be in the book, because otherwise I may be forgetting. But thank you. Oh, by the way, I wished, Paulo, could have shared so you could have heard something about his story, because you're kind of in the dark of knowing even where he's coming from. So I would like to share, because he may not share this because he's so humble. Not only is his church around 20,000 now, but his church gave away and asked lots of other churches to come in because they were coming. And they didn't have time to train everybody in what was going on in their church because they were growing so rapidly while others weren't. So they started doing conferences. Today in Brazil, there are 350,000 groups with over 3.5 million people in those groups that came to the Lord through the churches that they influenced by teaching them how to implement cell systems. But it's not just a system, it's a heart too. It's the right heart that's needed. And so I just wanted to share that when it comes to this, a network of churches, about 25,000 people look to him for leadership, not only in Brazil, but also in Europe, which is, I thought, very interesting because it's not then just a Brazilian thing. So with that kind of a context, maybe it might give you some ideas of some questions you'd like to ask. And don't feel like you have to ask me because I'm going to be around a lot. It's fine if you want to direct them all toward Pastor Paulo. I mean, seriously, if you, because we don't have him here that often, though hopefully that may change. And, well, you could ask him.
Did you hear the question? Tom asked how they met.
Looking for the voice. Oh, there. Okay.
Em 1996, eu estava decidido a abandonar o ministério.
In 1996, I was determined to abandon the ministry.
mas a minha cunhada me procurou e me deu de presente a inscrição e a passagem aérea e hotéis para uma conferência de pastores na igreja em Toronto, né, na Toronto Airport Fellowship.
But my sister-in-law, she looked for me and she gave me as a gift she signed up for me and she gave me the plane tickets for me to go to this pastors conference at the Toronto Airport Church.
E foi naquela conferência em janeiro de 97 que eu encontrei o Randy a primeira vez.
And it was in that conference in 1997 that I saw Randy for the first time.
Ele fez um apelo, um chamado ao altar e queria orar pelos pastores, né? Pastores, líderes, senior pastors das igrejas, e eu fui à frente.
He had an altar call calling the senior leaders, the pastors for the churches to go up front, and I did. I went up.
É óbvio que eu estava muito constrangido, porque tudo aquilo era muito estranho para mim, um pastor batista tradicional, vendo o leão rugir e gente caindo no chão, tudo era muito diferente para mim. Mas quando o Randy chamou à frente, eu fui muito atraído por causa do seu testemunho, né, do que Deus estava fazendo na vida dele.
And you need to understand, as a traditional Baptist pastor, that was very weird for me to see the lion roaring, to see people falling into the spirit in the ground. But for whatever reason, when Pastor Randy called me, I felt okay to go up.
E eu fui à frente, ele foi orando pelas pessoas, depois ele voltou, pegou o meu crachá, só viu meu nome, não tinha Brasil, não tinha nada. E ele começou a falar uma palavra de conhecimento. Ele falou, você é do Brasil, você trabalha com engenharia, com metais, e você está aqui como uma última chance. E ele orou por mim. E ele quis muito me jogar no chão, mas eu não deixei ele me jogar no chão, eu botei o pé para trás.
And as Randy went about praying for people, he came to me, he got my name tag. My name tag did not say I was from Brazil, but he had a word of knowledge for me. He says, you are a pastor for Brazil. You're here because you want to give up. You are an engineer. You work with metals. And, he said that Randy tried to push me to the ground, but as a Baptist, I wouldn't, so I put my foot back to stop it.
Mas a conferência de pastores foi avançando e quando eu percebi que já estava na hora de voltar para o Brasil, eu fui ficando desesperado, porque eu pensava, eu vou voltar igual.
And as the pastors' conference was coming to an end, I started to become desperate because I started saying, wow, I'm going back home feeling the same way when I came in.
Mas no último dia, na conferência, muito quebrado, já muito impressionado com as palavras, eu fui novamente à frente e o Randy orou de novo por mim e também uma senhora que ele pediu para ministrar, orou também, e aí eu caí no chão e tive uma visão espiritual. E a partir daquela visão espiritual, toda a minha vida foi mudada. Então eu reconheço que a ignição, o que deu início a todo esse movimento de milhões de conversões no Brasil foi através do ministério profético do Randy Clark em Toronto.
So on the last day, I was already broken, and I went up front and I received prayer again. And this time, Randy prayed for me. I fell to the ground. He felt the Holy Spirit coming, and he asked this other lady to also pray for me. And I understood that everything that we have going through in Brazil, the millions of conversions, all come because of the ministry of Global and Dr. Randy Clark.
Mas não apenas por causa do que ele transferiu de unção, mas porque quando Deus deu uma visão para nós, a gente foi muito fiel em obedecer e implantar a visão. E lá Deus já tinha falado comigo que nós teríamos uma igreja em pequenos grupos. E durante os próximos 20 anos, nós trabalhamos muito duro para poder implantar o melhor modelo de igreja em células do mundo.
It was not only through the impartation received, but I had received back home a vision of a church of cell groups. But I took what I received and I took it back home. And that's what we started doing it.
Could I see how many people have been with Dr. Randy Clark in Global Awakening and made a trip to Brazil? I think we represent thousands and thousands that have made that trip, and we're all thankful for the covenant relationship that's shared. So appreciate those relationships.
Yes, what are the similarities and dissimilarities of your cell system versus G12?
Estudando a respeito do sistema celular, eu fui muitas vezes à Coreia. Aprendi muito com a igreja do Dr. Cho, mas também fui muito à Colômbia, conhecer o sistema dos 12. Eu creio que o sistema dos 12 tem muitas vantagens, mas tem um problema em particular que eu creio que faz toda a diferença.
As I was trying to implement, I've went many times to Korea to learn and to see Dr. Cho. And at the same time, I went to Colombia as well to see how the G12 worked.
E eu não quero falar mal de nenhum modelo, mas eu creio que o movimento G12, que nasceu de Deus, ele acabou pervertendo um pouco a pureza da estrutura celular, porque ele enfatizou demais uma posição de honra no meio dos 12, que eu acho que causa muito dano para a igreja.
And I don't want to say anything bad about the G12, but what I understood is that the G12 kind of changed the way we see cell systems, because it placed an honor on the top of the 12s.
Enquanto que no nosso modelo, o líder de célula é a pessoa mais importante. Aquele que lidera o grupo é a pessoa-chave na vida da igreja. Nós temos milhares de líderes de células e eles é que são sempre os mais honrados, os que a gente cuida mais, quem a gente investe mais.
And in our cell, the leaders, the ones that are doing the work, they are the most honored. There we have thousands of cell leaders, and we spend our time honoring them.
Hey, I want to follow up a little bit on it. I've worked in almost all the cell systems in Brazil over the last 20 some odd years. And when I first went to Brazil, the first group I worked with was G12. And there was a lot at that time, a lot of salvations coming. But there was also, in the several churches, including some of the largest ones I was at, there's also, to me, it was very evident that there was a control issue. And I said to my friend, this is working now, but there's going to be a problem that whatever, if we could say it this way, the shepherding movement in the United States was lightweight in control in comparison, in my opinion. And that's played out. But, and there's such a humility in Paulo, who's the leader of this, there's such a humility in him and such a thing for purity and simplicity and not. I feel like I need to be quiet now, not say anything else about that, lest I say something I shouldn't say.
Right. Apart from those dynamics, so in terms of interpersonal leaders between the different systems or the two systems, what are the structural similarities? Is there the emphasis on the three? Is there the emphasis on 11 months of discipleship, 1 month of evangelism? What is the same and what is different? Is as an American trying to do G12, I tried for a number of years, and in America it doesn't translate as well. We're just a different culture, and our people don't respond the same way. So I'm curious.
O sistema de células é muito conhecido por todos. Ele se baseia em duas verdades. Cada crente é um ministro e cada casa pode ser uma igreja.
The cell system, the importance is works in two ways. Every person is a minister, and every home could become a church.
Eu acredito que cada pessoa sentada nos bancos da minha igreja pode dar uma contribuição muito maior do que só estar presente, entregar o dízimo ou ter algum trabalho voluntário na igreja. Ele pode fazer discípulos.
I believe that every single person that sits in my church, they can contribute more than just the tithes. And so we know that they can make disciples, so we invest on.
Então, nós investimos muito em mudar a mentalidade do membro de ser apenas alguém que vai receber para se tornar, de fato, alguém que faça discípulos e cuide bem dos discípulos.
So we invest a lot of time in changing the mentality of our members to being someone that is just there to receive the word, but to be someone who will have disciples and be able to minister in their lives.
E o nosso trabalho é treinar o membro da igreja para saber liderar um pequeno grupo muito bem liderado.
And our job is to train a member of the church to be a cell leader and to be a really good cell leader.
Mas eu tenho na minha igreja líderes de células que estão liderando sem parar há mais de 20 anos.
But in my church, I have cell leaders that I have nonstop being a leader of a cell group for over 20 years.
Como ele vai fazer isso? Porque ele tem um cuidado especial. Ele faz parte de um grupo de discipulado, de um grupo de amigos. Então, toda a igreja tem uma estrutura de supervisão, coordenação e de cuidado que faz com que a qualidade e a unidade da igreja seja mantida.
So how is he able to do that for such a long time? So the church it has a hierarchy, a system that takes care from being friends to every single level of coordination and supervision so that the person is well taken care.
E é por causa dessa estrutura de cuidado, de amor, de relacionamento, que as pessoas estão dispostas a servir tanto, porque elas entregam, elas dão, mas elas recebem muito também. Então nós temos toda uma igreja estruturada em cultos, mas toda uma igreja estruturada em células também.
Because we have all this area of focus of love and caring for the leaders, that's what makes the person want to continue to be a cell leader. So we have a whole church that is focused on the people, and we have a whole church focus in the growth in the cell groups.
Mas se você quer conhecer algum detalhe específico, eu depois posso mostrar isso para você com muito prazer.
And if you want to know more in detail, come and see me, and it'll be a privilege to share that with you.
Having examined multiple systems, one other question. In your cell groups, I understand the small church. It sounds very much like Dr. Cho. But is there a system for multiplication like in G12 where you're pushing people to replicate themselves for growth, or is it more to develop a unit that will stay the same on an ongoing basis over the years? That's one of my big questions.
Nós queremos sim multiplicar as nossas células. Na igreja que eu faço parte todos os domingos, hoje eu tenho 2.070 células que eu cuido pessoalmente.
Of course, we want to see the multiplication of cells. The church that I go and I attend every Sunday, I oversee over 2,070 cells.
Para uma célula multiplicar, ele tem que atingir 5 condições.
In order for a cell to multiply, they have to meet 5 conditions.
Primeiro, tem que ter um líder em treinamento preparado. Segundo, tem que ter uma outra casa disponível para participar.
So first, they have to have a well-trained leader. Second, house that is open for people to be a part.
Tem que ter um número de pessoas para multiplicar, pelo menos 20 pessoas.
He has to have a number of people to multiply, at least 20 people.
Tem que ter uma presença de Deus na célula que garante uma célula de qualidade, onde as pessoas não faltam. E tem que ter uma data marcada para a multiplicação. Se essas 5 condições estão atendidas, nós fazemos a multiplicação daquela célula, porque nós não queremos gerar de um grupo forte um grupo mais fraco. Nós queremos gerar um grupo mais forte ainda.
So, and then we have to have a very strong presence of God within that cell, and also a date that is set for the cell to multiply, because we don't want to go from a very strong cell to a weak cell if we don't meet the 5 conditions.
Hoje, a cada ano, de cada 2 células, uma multiplica anualmente, a outra só vai multiplicar no outro ano, e tem algumas que nunca multiplicam.
Annually, for every 2 cells, one will multiply, and the following year, the other one would, or sometimes they never do.
First of all, thank you for your many years of faithful ministry, both of you, and for being a father to us and just paving the way for us. With what you know and what you've learned in ministry all these years, if you can go back in time, what would you tell your younger self when you were first planting a church? What would you tell him that you wish you would have known then?
That's an easy one for me. I tell my younger self, stop feeling like you're a failure. It's going to turn out all right. So rest. It's going to work out. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Hang in there. It's going to turn out really well.
Eu não me considero um grande líder. Eu creio que é a graça de Deus pelo Brasil. O Brasil é uma nação que é apaixonada por Jesus. É um povo que tem um coração aberto. E eu acho que muito do que acontece no Brasil é pura graça de Deus.
I don't consider myself a great leader. I see the grace and the love of Jesus for Brazil is very strong, and that's what pushes Brazil forward, is the grace.
Randy sempre fala que eu sou um pastor humilde, não é? Que uma pessoa muito humilde, e eu nem me considero assim. Eu luto contra o orgulho todos os dias.
Randy always says that I am a humble person, a humble pastor, and I don't consider myself that way. I fight with pride every single day.
Mas se eu fosse dizer para mim mesmo, e eu voltasse 20 anos atrás, eu diria para mim, seja mais corajoso, mais ousado ainda. Eu creio que se alguém vai ser pastor e se está em jogo a salvação eterna das pessoas, não pode ter vacilo, não pode ter medo. Eu diria para mim mesmo, seja forte, mais corajoso e ande mais rápido, porque nós ganhamos muitas pessoas, mas nós perdemos muitas pessoas também. E isso dói no meu coração. Eu acho que a gente já podia ser 10 vezes maior do que a gente é hoje. Deus falou que ia dar para mim 1 milhão de pessoas. E hoje eu tenho 30 mil na minha igreja local. E isso me machuca, porque eu creio que foi falta de coragem.
Okay. Pray for me. If I could say it to the younger me 20 years ago, I would say, be courageous, have more courage, be more bold. If we want to see things happen, I would say, move faster. It can't just be a pastor for being a pastor. So you have just to have strong courage and very bold.
We got a lot of hands in very few minutes. Yes, we have to stop at 1:30, so maybe one more quick question. We'll be able to hear Pastor Paulo and his session at 2:45, but we do want to start on time to hear Pastor Chad. So maybe one more quick question.
I got 3 hands pointing toward him, so.
Again, thank you guys for, that's loud. Thank you guys for taking the time to pour into us. I've had the opportunity to do outreach and missions in several countries. And one of the burdens that I would have coming back to America is that there is a sense that the hunger is not the same. How does the growth that you experienced in Brazil, how can we translate that to the work that we do here in America? Practical nuts and bolts, bread and butter kind of things. Is it just the mindset, or was it more that you experienced as the ministry began to grow in Brazil? Because I'm traditional Baptist as well, and I'm sure some of the challenges may be similar. Thank you.
This is the question. Primeiro, eu não faço essa distinção entre igreja brasileira e igreja americana. Tudo é igreja. Os desafios são os mesmos.
First of all, I make no difference between a Brazilian church and an American church. The challenges are all the same.
E os perigos que nós temos de ser uma igreja irrelevante no Brasil, também nós temos de ser uma igreja irrelevante na América. E o mundo mudou. E nunca mais vai ser o mesmo. Então a igreja tem que mudar. E o que me preocupa é que a igreja americana é uma igreja muito bem sucedida. É uma igreja muito boa. E isso faz com que ela não queira mudar. E se a igreja americana não mudar, ela vai perder o seu lugar na história. Então, o desafio para a igreja americana é mudar. E ela tem que mudar para ser uma igreja de relacionamentos.
The dangers of becoming an irrelevant church in Brazil are the same as the American church. But what I see within the American church system is that the churches are very successful. So they succeed very well. So the American church needs to understand that that's not how it is, that it needs to change. And in order for it to change, It needs to change so that it is not forgotten in history. Well, I just ask him, what is that change? And, what is the change?
The world is changing. Society is changing. The youth mind is changing. So if the church do not change to adapt and to outreach them, we will lose our role, our presence in the history. So the challenge for me is that the worldwide church must adapt not the message, but the methodology to outreach the people, especially the young people. So in my church, we have only young people, because young people love to be together. They love relationship. When we invite them to 11 p.m. to join in a group after the college, they will go there plenty of joy because they will meet the friends. So a church based on Sunday services is very weak to do difference in this new time. We must do some adaptations. If not, we will lose our influence in the society.
Your English is good, and I think Dr. Randy could probably interpret him in Portuguese. Almost. It is very good in Portuguese. Yes.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you like the content that you receive from this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, give us a thumbs up and share our content with all of your friends and family. It really helps us out. We also invite you to consider partnering with us. We're a nonprofit ministry with a mission to awaken the world to the power of the gospel. If you'd like to help us continue creating content, consider giving at the link on the screen or text the word donation to 21,000. If you want even more of our spirit-filled content, consider a subscription to globalondemand.tv, our subscription video platform. Thanks for watching. We'll see you